Welcome back to the Storm Tracker 9 Winter Forecast on KEZI 9 News.
You know, Duck fans are all familiar with this statement, "It never rains at Autzen." But we know that that's debatable, especially late in the season. Mother Nature has proven from time to time that she can be the toughest opponent of all. Our first game pitted a Duck and Beaver squad that were as lousy as the weather. The year was 1983, and it didn't just rain at Autzen, it poured and poured. The game featured 11 fumbles, 5 interceptions, and 4 missed field goals. It ended in a 0-0 tie and still stands as the last scoreless tie in NCAA Division I football.
I just remember it being very cold, wet, rainy, and kind of this nothing feeling after this nothing tie.
Famously named the Toilet Bowl, it showed the weather may have been the only MVP. In the only December game played at Autzen Stadium in 2001, the team saw the usual December drizzle at kickoff. But late in the fourth quarter, with the Ducks trailing the Beavs 14-10, Keenan Howry lit up the field with an electrifying punt return for a touchdown. As he opened the lead for the Ducks, the skies opened up and Oregon celebrated a 17-14 win in torrential rain. In 2004, defending national champion USC marched into Reser Stadium to take on a Beaver team on a 3-game win streak. In the fourth quarter, with the Trojans nursing a slim 14-13 lead, eventual Heisman winner Reggie Bush ripped off a 65-yard punt return for a touchdown smothered in the thick fog. The Beavers came up short 28-20, as did the Pacific Northwest weather. The Trojans had survived the Northwest wrath just a week earlier in a hailstorm in Washington State. With the Ducks cruising to a 9-1 record going into the 2005 version of the Civil War, the Beavers needed all the help they could get. Mother Nature did her best, blanketing Autzen Stadium in the second half with an almost impenetrable fog. By the fourth quarter, the fans, media, and the cameras were struggling to keep up with where the action was somewhere down on the field. While it ended in a lopsided win for the Ducks, 56-14, the game has affectionately been known as the Fog Bowl.
It could be raining, and then 2 hours later it could be hailing, and like 20 minutes later the sun is shining and you're boiling. I mean, that's what happens in Oregon, so it's really hard to predict, but I like that because it makes it exciting living here.
There's this thing that's called rain, and it falls from the sky, and it does it about all the time in winter in Oregon, and cold, and sometimes it snows, but that's about it.
Changes all the time. Wait 5 minutes. And this has been a different year than we've seen a lot, you know, in the past years. It seems to be really different. The spring's been different, so I don't know what we're going to see.
You know, the fall part is pretty right now, but when the days get shorter, it's harder to be out. But I wouldn't live anywhere else because you have the 4 seasons and you still have the green, and I love it when it snows.
It rains, but it rains a lot. At least in the valley, over in eastern Oregon, it snows. And I like being in Eugene because we're about an hour away from every couple different types of weather.
This time of year, we began to pull out the jackets and the scarves, but for pet owners, it's time to remember how to keep our 4-legged family members healthy for the winter. And for first-time pet owners, there's a lot to think about that you probably haven't thought of before.
If this is your first winter with your pet, the key to a good season is preparation. Make sure your pet visits the vet for checkups and is properly groomed. If you're winterizing your home, be careful not to expose your pet to rock salt or anti-freezing chemicals.
Anxiety, if they have anxiety, you also may want to think about any kind of discomfort that they're seeing or whether they're whining. I mean, those are all signs that the animal certainly will let you know.
Holiday decorations can also pose some problems because things like tinsel, mistletoe, holly, and poinsettias are poisonous. And human holiday treats such as alcohol and chocolate could do real harm to your furry friend.
And don't forget, when it gets too cold for you outside, it's time to bring Fido and Fifi indoors, or at least make sure they have covered shelter and nice warm bedding. In Eugene, meteorologist Megan Taylor for KEZI 9 News.
When it comes to winter precipitation in western Oregon, we see it all. Rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain, you name it, we get it. But what you may not realize is that it all pretty much starts out as snow. As the flakes fall from the clouds to the ground, they typically hit air that is above freezing. As soon as this happens, it turns into our everyday rain. Now, if the temperature stays actually below freezing through the entire air column, The flakes will stay frozen and we get to see snow. Now, those two options are pretty straightforward, but there's a lot that can happen between the clouds and the surface. If the air warms above 32 degrees, but the ground is still colder than that, we get freezing rain, which is in liquid form as it falls, but then freezes on contact. This coats just about everything with a potentially thick layer of ice. This is one of the worst forms of winter precipitation here in Western Oregon, and all we need is a good cold snap followed by a quick rainstorm.
Ever wonder what we use to put our forecast together when we're expecting winter weather? Well, when we return after the break, I'll take you behind the green screen and show you everything that we use to make you the most accurate winter weather forecast possible.